Chosen one. A quiet change has already taken place beyond what human eyes can see. And deep within, your spirit recognized it before your thoughts could find the words. This is far more than another message crossing your path. It is a divine invitation. A moment appointed specifically for you. Anointed one. Heaven has never lost sight of your journey. It has witnessed every silent prayer, every unanswered question, and every battle you fought where no one else could see. Now, in this very season, a hidden reality is coming into the light. There is something alive within you that was never taught by people or shaped by the world around you. It was planted by the Creator himself. It is not a weapon meant to destroy, but a gift that awakens truth, illuminates darkness, and stirs purpose. Perhaps you have sensed it before as an unexplainable weight, an inner certainty that words could never fully justify. That feeling is not an illusion. It is the beginning of your awakening. Scripture reminds us in Ecclesiastes 3:1 that there is a season for everything and a time for every purpose under heaven. This is the hour to remember who you were created to be. The distractions of the world may have tried to bury your calling, and the voices around you may have attempted to silence it. But they were never powerful enough to erase what God placed inside you. What remained hidden is now being called into the open. The fact that these words reached you is no coincidence. There is purpose behind this encounter. Stay with this message, because what follows will reveal the strength heaven has already entrusted to your life. Chosen one. This is the point where the voice within you begins to rise above every fear, every doubt, and every distraction. It will not demand attention through noise or force. Instead, it will carry the quiet confidence that comes only from divine authority. What you have carried all these years is not the result of education, influence, or human approval. It existed within you before your first heartbeat. Anointed one. That is why your life has never fit the ordinary pattern. It explains why you could stand among crowds yet still feel different, as though you were never completely at home in the places where others seemed comfortable. Time after time, you tried to reshape yourself to match the expectations around you. You tried to blend in. You told yourself maybe you were overthinking. Maybe you were just different in a normal way. But deep down, there was always that quiet, knowing something in you was waiting. That was not confusion. That was the weapon. Not a weapon of harm, but a weapon of awareness. A divine light placed inside your spirit that sees what others overlook. You notice things people don't say. You feel shifts in energy before anything happens. You walk away from situations you can't explain. And later you realize you were being protected. This is not coincidence. This is activation. And the reason it has felt so heavy at times is because this world was never designed to nurture what you carry. It was designed to distract it, to bury it under noise, under pressure, under expectations that were never aligned with your true identity. Think about it. Chosen one. How many times did you feel drained after being around certain people, even when nothing bad happened? How many times did you question yourself for pulling away, for needing space, for feeling too much? That wasn't weakness. That was sensitivity to truth. Your spirit was detecting what your mind had not yet learned to interpret. And so, the journey began, not with clarity, but with separation. You started losing interest in things that once felt normal. Conversations began to feel empty. Environments that once gave you comfort started to feel heavy. And you asked yourself, What is wrong with me? But nothing was wrong. Something was being revealed, because when this inner weapon begins to awaken, it does not gently adjust your life. It disrupts it. It begins removing what cannot go where you are going. It begins exposing what you once ignored. It begins shifting your desires, your focus, even your identity. And in that process, it can feel like everything is falling apart. But chosen one, this is not destruction. This is alignment. There is a moment in every chosen life where the familiar begins to fade. Not because you failed, but because you outgrew it. That moment can feel lonely. It can feel like you are losing everything at once. But in truth, you are being repositioned. As it is written in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, there is a time for every purpose under heaven. And this is your time of awakening. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you have always been. And as this awareness grows, something else begins to happen. You start to sense things before they unfold. You begin to recognize patterns in people, in situations, in your own life. You start to feel when something is aligned and when something is not. Not because someone told you, but because something inside you already knows. That is the weapon sharpening. It does not shout. It does not force. It reveals. You may find yourself stepping back from people without explanation. You may feel a strong pull towards silence, towards solitude, toward moments where you can just breathe and be. That is not isolation. That is preparation. Because what you carry cannot fully awaken in noise. And yes, there will be moments where you feel tired for no clear reason. Moments where your body feels heavy, but your spirit feels alert. Moments where your dreams become more vivid, more intense, almost like something is speaking to you beyond words. You are not imagining it. You are being tuned. Your spirit is adjusting to a higher awareness. And your human mind is trying to catch up. That gap, that tension, is where the transformation happens. And it can feel uncomfortable. It can feel overwhelming. But it is necessary, because the truth is, chosen one. What is inside you cannot remain dormant anymore. This is the season where it begins to rise. Not all at once, not in a way that shocks the world overnight, but steadily, intentionally, in layers. The more you align, the more it reveals itself. The more you trust it, the clearer it becomes. And with that clarity comes responsibility, because this weapon responds to your state. When you are grounded, it becomes precise. When you are overwhelmed by fear or ego, it becomes clouded. Not gone, but quiet, waiting for you to return to alignment. So, the real question is not whether you have this power. The question is, will you recognize it? Will you trust what you feel, even when you cannot explain it? Will you honor the shifts happening inside you, even when others don't understand? Will you allow the discomfort of transformation to refine you instead of resisting it? Because, chosen one, this is where everything begins to change. And what is about to unfold next will show you exactly why this weapon was placed inside you and what it was always meant to do. Chosen one, as this awakening continues, you will begin to realize that what you carry is not only meant to reveal truth, but to withstand it. Because once your inner weapon becomes active, it does not just illuminate the world around you. It exposes everything within you that is not aligned. And that is where many begin to struggle. Not because the power is too much, but because the truth it brings leaves no place to hide. You may notice this in quiet moments when old thoughts begin to surface, when emotions you thought were buried rise without warning, when you feel an inner tension between who you were and who you are becoming. This is not regression. This is purification. The weapon inside you is not only meant to guide you through the world, it is meant to refine your spirit so you can carry what has been entrusted to you. Anointed one, there will be days when you question everything, days when your faith feels tested, when your patience is stretched, when your identity feels uncertain. You may ask yourself if you are truly on the right path, or if you have somehow lost your way. But understand this clearly. These moments are not signs that you are failing. They are signs that something deeper is being built within you. Because divine power does not grow in comfort. It is shaped in pressure. It is strengthened in silence. It is revealed in moments where you have no choice but to trust what you cannot see. Think about the seasons you have already walked through, the nights where you felt alone, the situations that forced you to stand on your own, the betrayals that made you question who you could trust. At the time, it felt like loss. It felt like confusion. But now you can begin to see it differently. Those moments were not random. They were preparation. Every time you were misunderstood, you were being taught not to depend on external validation. Every time you were rejected, you were being redirected away from what could not hold your calling. Every time you felt like giving up but didn't, something inside you grew stronger. That something is the weapon, and as it sharpens, you will begin to notice a shift in how you move through the world. You no longer react the way you used to. Things that once triggered you lose their power. Situations that once pulled you into chaos no longer hold your attention. It is not because life has become easier. It is because you have become different. You begin to move with awareness instead of impulse. You begin to respond with clarity instead of emotion. You begin to see beyond what is being said and recognize what is truly happening beneath the surface. This is where your authority begins to rise, not loud, not aggressive, not something that demands attention. It is quiet, steady, undeniable. People may not be able to explain it, but they will feel it. Your presence will begin to shift the atmosphere in ways you cannot fully control. Some will feel drawn to you without knowing why. Others will feel uncomfortable, even distant. Do not take this personally. Their reaction is not about you. It is about what your presence reveals in them. Light does not need to argue with darkness. It simply exposes it. And this is why you must guard your heart carefully in this season. Because, as your awareness increases, so does your influence. What you think, what you feel, what you focus on, all of it carries weight now. Your energy is no longer passive. It is active. It moves. It shapes it, affects the environment around you. That is why discipline becomes essential. Not discipline restriction, but as alignment. You begin to understand that not everything deserves your attention. Not every situation requires your response. Not every emotion needs to control your actions. You learn to pause, to observe, to choose your energy instead of letting it be scattered. Because the more focused you become, the more precise your weapon becomes. And there is something else you must understand. Chosen one, this power inside you does not respond to ego. It does not grow through pride, through the need to prove yourself, or through the desire to be seen as different. The moment you try to use it for personal validation, it withdraws, not because it is gone, but because it is waiting for you to return to the right posture. Humility is what activates it fully, not weakness, not silence out of fear, but a grounded awareness of where your power comes from. You did not create this. You were entrusted with it. And that changes everything. Because now your focus shifts from trying to control outcomes to learning how to align with purpose. You stop forcing things to happen and start recognizing what is already unfolding. You begin to trust timing instead of rushing it. You begin to understand that what is meant for you will not pass you by. And what is not aligned will fall away, no matter how hard you try to hold on to it. This is where peace begins to replace pressure. You no longer feel the need to chase approval. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to those who cannot see what you see. You become more selective with your energy, more intentional with your presence, more grounded in who you are becoming. And in that stillness, your weapon becomes clearer. It begins to guide you in subtle ways. A feeling that tells you to step back, a thought that reminds you to wait, a sudden clarity that helps you see through confusion. These moments may seem small, but they are significant, because the more you listen, the stronger that guidance becomes. This is how you learn to move differently, not driven by fear, not controlled by external pressure, but led by something deeper, something steady, something that does not need to prove itself because it already knows. And as you continue on this path, there will be a point where you realize something powerful. You are no longer searching for direction. You are becoming it. And what is about to unfold next will reveal why this weapon was never just for you, but for something far greater than you can currently see. Chosen one. There comes a moment in this journey where you begin to understand that this power within you was never meant to serve your comfort. It was meant to fulfill a purpose that extends beyond your own life. What you carry is not random, and it is not small. It is part of something greater that has been unfolding long before you became aware of it. And as this realization settles into your spirit, you begin to see your life through a different lens. You start to recognize that the struggles you went through were not just personal hardships. They were preparation for a role you did not yet understand. The moments where you felt overlooked. The times where doors closed without explanation. The seasons where nothing seemed to move forward. All of it was shaping your capacity, not just to receive, but to carry. Because what has been placed inside you requires strength, clarity, and a level of awareness that cannot be developed in ease. Anointed one, you were not meant to walk through life unaware of what you hold. There is a reason your spirit has always searched for something deeper, something more meaningful than what the world offered. Even when you tried to settle into what was normal, there was always something within you that resisted. That resistance was not confusion. It was alignment. Your spirit was refusing to accept anything less than what it was designed for. And now, as this awareness grows stronger, you begin to notice that your presence itself carries weight, not because of what you say, but because of what you are. You walk into spaces, and something shifts. Conversation change. Energy moves. People either feel drawn closer or feel the need to step back. This is not something you need to control or question. It is the natural expression of what you carry, but with this comes a deeper level of responsibility, because the more aware you become, the more intentional you must be. You cannot move through life unconsciously anymore. You cannot ignore what you feel or dismiss what you sense. Your awareness is not just a gift. It is a guide, and the more you honor it, the more it will lead you into alignment. There will be moments where you are called to walk away from things that once mattered to you, not because they are bad, But because they are no longer aligned, this can be difficult, especially when those things are familiar, when they feel safe, when they have been part of your identity for so long. But chosen one, growth often requires release. You cannot carry what is meant for your future while holding on to what belongs to your past. And as you begin to let go, you may feel a sense of emptiness, a space where something once existed. Do not fear that space. That is where new alignment begins. That is where clarity enters. That is where the next phase of your journey takes form. Because what you are stepping into is not just about understanding your power, it is about using it with purpose. This is where many hesitate, not because they lack the ability, but because they begin to see the weight of what they carry. You may start to realize that your words influence others more than you expected, that your presence affects the atmosphere around you, that your decisions create ripples that extend beyond what you can immediately see, and that awareness can feel overwhelming at first. You may question whether you are ready. You may wonder if you are capable of carrying this responsibility. But understand this. Chosen one. You would not have been given this if you were not prepared for it. Every step you have taken, every challenge you have faced, every moment that tested your faith, all of it was building the foundation for this exact season. You're not stepping into something new without preparation. You're stepping into something you have been prepared for all along. And as you move forward, you will begin to see that your role is not to control outcomes, but to remain aligned. You are not here to force change, but to embody it. When you stand in your truth, when you move with clarity, when you remain grounded in your purpose, everything around you begins to respond. This is how transformation happens. Not through struggle, not through resistance, but through alignment. The more aligned you are, the more your path becomes clear. The more you trust what you carry, the more it reveals itself. The more you walk in awareness, the more you begin to see how everything is connected. And this is where your understanding deepens. You begin to see that what is happening in your life is not isolated. It is part of a larger movement, a shift that is happening on a level beyond what can be seen. You are not the only one awakening. You are part of a collective rise. A moment where those who carry this awareness are beginning to step into their purpose, but your path is your own. And that is why you must stay focused. You cannot compare your journey to others. You cannot measure your progress by what you see outside of you. Your alignment is personal. Your timing is precise. And what is meant for you will unfold in the way it is meant to. There will be distractions along the way. Moments that test your focus. Situations that try to pull you back into old patterns. Voices that attempt to create doubt. But by now, you're beginning to recognize these for what they are. They are not obstacles meant to stop you. They are tests meant to strengthen your awareness. Each time you choose alignment over distraction, you become stronger. Each time you trust your inner guidance over external pressure, you become clearer. Each time you stand firm in who you are becoming, your path becomes more defined, and eventually, something shifts within you. You stop questioning your direction. You stop second-guessing your instincts. You stop looking outside for confirmation. Because you begin to understand that what you carry is enough. That understanding is where your power stabilizes. It is no longer something that comes and goes. It becomes consistent, grounded, reliable. From that place of deeper understanding, you begin to walk with a confidence unlike anything you have known before. It is not built on pride or performance. It is calm, unwavering, and deeply rooted. You instinctively recognize the right moment to speak and the wisdom of remaining silent. You discern when it is time to step forward, and when patience is the greater act of faith. You sense what is truly aligned with your purpose and what is simply a distraction. That clarity becomes one of the greatest signs of your calling. While so many rush through life driven by impulse, reacting before reflecting and pursuing without direction, you have learned a different way. You have discovered the strength found in stillness. You have developed the habit of watching carefully before acting. Every step you take carries purpose instead of pressure. This is the genuine expression of the gift placed within you. And what you are about to understand next will reveal how this divine strength reaches far beyond your own life, influencing every person and every situation it encounters. Chosen one, as this truth takes deeper root in your heart, an unmistakable transformation begins. It changes more than your perspective. It changes the way you approach every circumstance you face. You come to understand that this divine power was never intended to be something you use only in certain moments. It was always meant to become part of who you are. It reshapes your thoughts, guides your responses, and influences the way you carry yourself. Even when no one else is present to notice, quietly and consistently, your character begins to reflect this new awareness. The need to impress others gradually disappears. The desire to win every argument fades away. You no longer feel obligated to involve yourself in every disagreement, every misunderstanding, or every situation that once demanded an immediate response. Instead, you develop the wisdom to recognize where your presence can truly make a difference and where silence speaks with greater authority than words ever could. That change carries remarkable power. There was once a season when you felt compelled to defend your every decision, explain your motives, and convince others to see you differently. But now you understand that genuine truth does not require constant defense. It reveals itself through the consistency of your life and the quiet confidence that comes from walking in alignment with the purpose heaven has placed within you. But now, something inside you has matured. You understand that not every misunderstanding requires your voice. Not every challenge requires your involvement. Some things reveal themselves without your interference. This is where your presence becomes your protection. You begin to notice that certain situations no longer affect you the way they used to. Negative energy that once lingered now passes without impact. Words that once carried weight now lose their influence. It is not because those things have disappeared, but because you are no longer meeting them at the same level. You have risen above the frequency that once held you, and as a result, your peace becomes something that cannot easily be disturbed, not because life has become perfect, but because you have become anchored. There is a difference. Your stability no longer depends on what is happening around you. It comes from what is established within you. This is what it means to embody what you carry. It is no longer something you are trying to understand. It becomes the way you live. You begin to respond with clarity instead of reacting with emotion. You begin to choose your words carefully, knowing that what you speak carries weight. You begin to recognize that your thoughts are not passive, they are active, shaping your reality in ways you may not have fully realized before. And so you become more intentional. You become aware of what you allow into your mind, what you give your attention to, what you choose to hold on to, and what you decide to release, because you understand now that your focus is not just a habit, it is a force. If you dwell on fear, it expands. If you dwell on clarity, it strengthens. If you hold on to resentment, It clouds your awareness. But if you choose peace, it sharpens your perception. This is how you begin to wield what has been placed inside you, not through force, not through control, but through alignment, through awareness, through consistency. And as you continue walking in this way, you will begin to see something else unfold. Situations that once felt complicated begin to resolve themselves. Opportunities begin to appear at the right time. People who are aligned with your path begin to cross your life without you having to search for them. It may seem subtle at first, but it becomes undeniable over time, because when you are aligned, things begin to move differently. Not because you are forcing them, but because you are no longer resisting what is meant to unfold. And this is where trust becomes essential. You must learn to trust what you cannot fully see yet. You must learn to trust the timing of your life. Even when it does not match your expectations, there will be moments where things feel delayed, where answers do not come as quickly as you would like, where you feel like you are waiting without understanding why. But waiting is not absence. It is preparation. It is in those moments that your patience is refined, your focus is strengthened, and your ability to remain grounded is tested. Because the truth is, not everything needs to happen immediately. Some things require space. Some things require time. Some things require you to become the person who can carry what is coming. And you are becoming that person. You have already come further than you realize. The way you think, the way you respond, the way you see things now compared to before, all of it has changed. That is not small. That is growth. But growth also requires protection. You cannot give your energy to everything and expect to remain aligned. You cannot pour into every situation and expect to stay grounded. You must learn to recognize where your presence is needed and where your distance is necessary. This does not make you distant. It makes you aware, because not everyone will understand this shift in you. Some may feel like you have changed. Some may feel like you have become harder to reach, less reactive, less available in the way you once were. But what they are seeing is not disconnection. It is clarity. You no longer moving from obligation. You are moving from alignment, and that will always look different. There will be moments where you feel the weight of this responsibility, moments where you realize that you cannot return to who you used to be, even if you wanted to, moments where you understand that this path requires a level of consistency that cannot be ignored. But you are not walking this alone. The same force that placed this awareness within you continues to guide you, not always in ways that are obvious, not always in ways that are easy to understand, but always in ways that lead you forward. You may not always see the full picture, but you will always feel the direction, and that is enough, because the more you follow that direction, the more everything begins to align, the more you trust it, the more it reveals itself. The more you stay grounded in it, the stronger it becomes. Until one day you realize something that changes everything. You are no longer trying to become who you are meant to be. You already are. And what is about to unfold next will reveal the deeper reason why this power was placed within you from the very beginning, and how it was always meant to reach far beyond your own life. Chosen one. As everything begins to settle into clarity, you come to understand that this was never only about your personal awakening. It was always about what would flow through you once you became aware of it. What has been placed inside you is not meant to stay contained. It is meant to move, to reach, to awaken something in others who are still searching for what you have begun to recognize. You may not have seen it at first, But even now, there are moments where your presence has already made an impact, a conversation where your words stayed with someone longer than you expected, a moment where your calmness shifted the energy in a room, a situation where simply being there changed how things unfolded. These are not small moments. They are signs, because when you carry this kind of awareness, it does not remain hidden. It expresses itself through you in ways that are natural, not forced. You do not need to announce it. You do not need to convince anyone. It becomes evident through how you live, how you respond, how you remain steady when others are uncertain. And this is where your purpose begins to extend beyond you. You start to realize that your journey was not just about understanding yourself, but about becoming a reference point for others, not in a way that places you above them, but in a way that reminds them of what is possible. Your clarity becomes a mirror, your presence becomes a signal, your alignment becomes an example. Some people will recognize it immediately. They will feel a sense of peace around you, a sense of familiarity they cannot explain. Others may not understand it at all. They may question it, resist it, or even distance themselves from it. But both responses serve a purpose, because not everyone is meant to walk with you at every stage, and that is something you must accept without resistance. There was a time when you may have tried to hold on to people, to maintain connections that no longer felt aligned, to explain yourself in ways that made others comfortable. But now you understand that your role is not to adjust your path to fit others. It is to remain true to what you have been shown, and that requires strength, not the kind of strength that pushes or forces, but the kind that remains steady even when things shift around it, the kind that trusts the process even when it is not fully visible, the kind that allows things to leave without chasing after them, because what is aligned will remain, and what is not will fall away. This is not loss. This is refinement. And as this refinement continues, you begin to see your life with a different level of awareness. You start to recognize patterns more quickly. You start to understand timing more clearly. You begin to move with a sense of purpose that does not rely on external confirmation. This is where everything becomes intentional. You are no longer reacting to life as it happens. You are participating in it with awareness. You are choosing your responses. You are directing your focus. You are aligning your actions with what you know to be true. And in doing so, you begin to influence more than just your immediate surroundings. Your energy reaches further than you can measure. The way you think, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, all of it contributes to something larger. Because when one person becomes fully aligned, it creates a ripple effect. Others begin to notice. Others begin to question. Others begin to shift. Not because you told them to, but because something about your presence invites it. This is how transformation spreads. Quietly, consistently, without force. And that is why what you carry matters. It is not just about your growth. It is about what your growth makes possible for others. It is about the clarity you bring into spaces that once felt unclear. It is about the stability you bring into situations that once felt uncertain. It is about the perspective you offer in moments where others feel lost. You are not here to control outcomes. You are here to influence direction. And the way you do that is by remaining aligned with what has been placed inside you. There will still be challenges. There will still be moments where things feel uncertain, where situations test your patience, where circumstances require you to stay grounded when it would be easier to react. But now you are equipped differently. You no longer approach these moments from a place of confusion. You approach them with awareness. You pause before reacting. You observe before responding. You recognize what is happening beneath the surface before deciding how to move. And that awareness changes everything. Because once you see clearly, you cannot be easily pulled into what is not aligned. Once you understand your role, you cannot be distracted by what does not serve it. Once you recognize your value, you no longer seek it in places that cannot provide it. This is where your confidence becomes stable, not dependent on outcomes, not influenced by opinions, not shaken by temporary situations. It becomes something that is rooted in understanding. You know who you are. You know what you carry. You know how to move. And that knowledge creates a sense of peace that does not need to be explained. Even in moments where things are still unfolding, where answers are still forming, where outcomes are not yet visible, you remain steady. Because you trust what you have already experienced. You trust the way things have aligned before. You trust the direction you are being guided in now. And that trust allows you to move forward without hesitation. You are no longer waiting to become ready. You are already moving. And as you continue on this path, you will begin to see just how far this awareness can take you, not in a distant, abstract way, but in real, tangible moments, in the decisions you make, in the opportunities that present themselves, in the connections that form naturally without effort. All of it will begin to reflect the alignment you have developed within. This is the result of what has been placed inside you. It is not just potential, it is more than a purpose. It is the way your life is meant to function. It is more than understanding. It becomes the direction that shapes every decision you make. It is not simply a moment of realization. It becomes the foundation of how you live each day. And now, chosen one, you have reached a place where you no longer wonder if you are capable. Every trial you have endured has already answered that question. What remains is to keep moving forward. Stay rooted in the truth you have come to know. Remain faithful to the conviction planted within your spirit. Trust the path that has carried you through every season until now. What heaven placed inside you was never designed to fade with time. It was created to endure. As you continue walking in that confidence, the world around you will gradually begin to reflect the truth that has already taken root within your heart. Chosen one. These words are not simply bringing a message to an end. They are confirming something that has already begun unfolding in your life. The gift entrusted to you is not diminishing. It is growing stronger. Heaven has witnessed every moment of perseverance, every unseen struggle, and every quiet step of growth. Now you have entered a season where what remained hidden is stepping forward with unmistakable purpose. Anointed one. Never underestimate what God has placed within you. The strength you carry is not weak or uncertain. It is constant, living, and perfectly aligned with a purpose far greater than anything your eyes can presently see. Continue your journey with confidence. Stand firmly upon truth. Allow your life to speak through its quiet consistency, and let the peace within you become the greatest evidence of your authority. You have not fallen behind your destiny. You have never been forgotten. You are standing exactly where you are meant to be in this moment. If these words have awakened something deep within your spirit, write 777 inches the comments as a quiet declaration that you recognize the work God is doing within you. And if your heart is being led to continue this journey, stay connected so you can receive the wisdom and revelation that are still unfolding before you. Chosen one, may your thoughts remain protected. your spirit remain filled with clarity. And every step you take be directed with divine precision. What heaven has begun within you will continue to grow, and no obstacle will be able to prevent the purpose destined for your life from coming to completion.